Some of us meet a whole lot of people throughout our entire life, since elementary, middle, and high school. Some of those friends either leave and never come back into your life, or some of those friends either just stick with you and become one of your closest friends, and eventually your best friends. Today I'm going to tell you guys a story of how the day I met my best friend affected me till this day, and how our relationship is still going strong. It was on August 9th in summer of 2003. We barely moved into our new house, and I didn't really know anyone in the neighborhood, so I had no idea who lived on my street or anything. And 2 weeks later, my parents decided to take me into Blue Ridge Elementary School for my very first day into that school in first grade. And the very first day, I was pretty excited because it was a new school. I've never been into this school, and I was excited to meet a whole bunch of new people that I've never met before, and wanted to see who was my teacher for my first grade. And that first day, when we were all singing songs and chants, and our teacher decided to get our other classroom from the other side into our classroom to join us for a song, and we ended up all singing together. And we all sat on a floor mat, and next to me was this guy. His name was Efren. He just came up to me next to me and he said, "What's your name?" And his name, and I told him what my name was, Osvaldo. And he was all like, "Oh, nice to meet you." And then we just started talking about how where we lived, what did we like, what did we dislike, and all these other interesting things that we just wanted to get to know about ourselves. And from there on, the day passed, and at the very end, we both took the same bus, and I didn't even know that. And we got off on the same bus stop as well. And as we got off on the same bus stop, we just started talking and talking and talking on our way home. And eventually, I found out that his close was like 3 houses away from mine. And I told him, "Oh, we should hang out. We should hang out after school or something. We could just play video games." And he had a whole bunch of video game consoles, and I never had any of those. And I thought it was pretty cool. And right after I got home, I told my mom that I met this really cool friend, and his name was Efren. And I just told her if I could just go over to his house and play. And she was like, "Yeah, just go." She let me play over there. And from there on, almost every single day, from first through fifth grade, we just ended up playing video games and not really doing much of our homework, and just ended up being really, really close friends from there. But it was not until fifth grade, in July around there, he and his parents were going to move into a new home in Milton Free Water, and I was kind of shocked because I didn't really think they would move out or anything like that. And once they were getting all ready and packed, his parents wanted to take a picture of me and him just to see, because we didn't really know if we were going to be still hanging out or not. So she ended up taking a picture of me and him, which I thought was pretty funny. But she took a picture and she was like, "Oh yeah, just remember that, well, he's still here and he's your best friend. I mean, he's not going to go anywhere. You could still see him sometimes, or days you can." And from there on, I never really just saw him for the next 3 years. I never saw him since my parents didn't really have time to take me over to his house. And it was not until my sophomore year, where he already had his license, and we were at that time 16, 15 years old, and he decided to come by my house in his Mustang, and he wanted to give me a ride just to cruise around his car. And we ended up just talking all over, as if it were to be fifth grade all over again, from first through fifth grade, talking about all our interests and what's going on in our lives and everything. And it was like going back in time and just still having that connection with him again. And I knew that we were still good friends from that day when he came back to my house. And from there on, we just still managed to talk And then eventually I got my own license, my permit, and then I started driving to his house sometimes, or sometimes he would come to my house, and we would just still almost do the same thing. We would just like hang out with him and his brother, or he would just come over to my house. But there wasn't really that much interesting things to do in my house. It was more fun in his house. His house was like more of in a ranch, I suppose. It was like a ranch filled with like lambs and all these other animals that they had in their house. It lived in the country. It was pretty fun. They had a lot of stuff they did over there. Throughout high school, throughout the end of high school, I noticed that many people that I've known just didn't really just stay close to me ever since I was a freshman, and I realized that I realized that since not many people were really close to me when I was in since freshman year, well, I knew that only one friend would still be really close to me, and that was that friend because I knew that if whenever I talked to him, we would still have that one connection where we could just like go back and just still be able to talk like as if it were to be nothing because we were still really close. And then my first year in community college started, and he never told me he was going to go to community college in Walla Walla, the community college here, until one day I saw him here and I was like, oh no way! And we had one of the same classes. We had math together, and it was pretty awesome because we still we did our homework together and we just practiced everything and managed to like do everything all over again. From there on, we still had a really close relationship, and eventually our second year right now, which is kind of different for us because now we're still really good friends, and we still manage to just talk about maybe 2 or 3 times a day, or just like as much as we can, just to like see if we have time because we have jobs and we have school, we have homework and all that, but we still have that one connection, and he's my only friend that I have, not that I have right now, but the only friend that I can trust right now. And I just really think that ever since I met him, I guess the meaning towards like a friendship is just having that connection and just being able to still be really close, even though you're far away from him. They'll eventually come back, and that's what I thought of it as. And I thought it was pretty cool because I never really thought that a friend could just like leave and then come back eventually. And that's how I knew he was my only best friend ever since I was in first grade. And basically, the thought that I had throughout that whole entire friendship was like, you can always maintain a friendship. All you have to do is just be really close and just try and keep that connection with you guys, and then you'll always know you'll still be really close. That's all I can say. And that's my speech.